Hello there. Easy, stop. Ivy, no more. No more. You get a boo boo. Okay? You get a boo boo. Okay? Tastes better than yesterday, huh? Well, that's enough. That's enough. No more. I guess. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. She doesn't want nothing part of me now. I got my specs. Start in a couple minutes. Here we go. And like this.
If you can.
Okay, let's get started. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today the food we need, and forgive us our sins as we've forgiven those who sin against us. And don't let us yield to temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. Thank you, Jehovah, for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. And thank you for what you did for us in the past, present, and what you will do for us in the future. There's someone, Jehovah, that's been suffering from cancer, and I've been meaning to put her into my devotions, and that's Stephen. Is it Stephen? No, I'm sorry, Michael, Stefan, not Stefan. Um, Hold on. Let me get it because I watched something yesterday. It should be in my watched list. Michael Strahan, his daughter Isabella. He has identical twin girls, and Isabella has a brain tumor. So I am asking you, Jehovah, to put your healing hands on her head and heal her. She didn't. She was out like a light during her birthday. So I know you don't celebrate birthdays, Jehovah, but I believe a birthday is a milestone. It's when you reach another year on your earth. But please put your healing hands on Isabella Strahan and dissolve her brain tumor and dissolve that cancer. And other people that suffer from cancer is Tate, who also has a heart condition, Cindy Lee, Lisa, Shannon Doherty, King Charles, Princess Kate, Jen's friend Shannon. So they all have cancer, different kinds, different stages. Um, Please give them physical and mental strength to fight off the disease, as well as Isabella Strahan. Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome, involuntary spasms, very very painful. I've seen a video, and you cannot unsee the stuff you see. And I wish I did not watch it. Please give her mental, physical strength as well. Look after Christina and Jenny for their medical needs and mental needs. Uh, Robin, she's going through a lot right now. Please help her and the family. Help Miss Diane for a quick transition into resting and help her daughters get through that. Um, Arnie, Vicky and family, Carol and mom. Please help them in the name of Jesus, in the name of your son, Jesus Christ, the Lord. Amen. I watched this epic acne extractions, and there was one on a girl's upper lip, and she was just squeezing the heck out of it. No, you gotta make a hole first, and it's huge. It's gross. I had one that big before. My mom says, "Don't touch it. You'll have a hole right through your lip. Oh my god. Oh my gosh, sorry. So right before bed, I popped it. There was a pretty gnarly hole. Um, I just let it close. But morning, it was just about closed. I had a little round band-aid, so I put that on it. So, so here. That's just introduction, so.
To captivity in Babylon. Saul became Israel's first king, but Jehovah rejected him, and David was chosen to be king in his place. We find out many things about David. As a youth, he fought the giant Goliath. Later, he fled from jealous King Saul. Then beautiful Abigail stopped him from doing a foolish thing. Next, we learn many things about David's son Solomon, who took David's place as king of Israel. The first 3 kings of Israel each ruled for 40 years. After Solomon's death, Israel was divided into 2 kingdoms, a northern and a southern kingdom. The northern 10-tribe kingdom lasted 257 years before it was destroyed by the Assyrians. Then, 133 years later, the southern 2-tribe kingdom was also destroyed. At this time, the Israelites were taken captive to Babylon. So, part 4 covers 510 years of history, during which time many exciting events passed before our view. Story number 56. Saul, Israel's first king. See Samuel pouring oil on the man's head. This is what they used to do to a person to show that he had been chosen as king. Jehovah tells Samuel to pour the oil on Saul's head. It is a special, sweet-smelling oil. Saul did not think that he was good enough to be king. I belong to the tribe of Benjamin, the smallest one in Israel, he tells Samuel. Why do you say that I will be king? Jehovah likes Saul because he does not pretend to be big and important. That is why he chooses him to be king. But Saul is not poor or a small man. He comes from a rich family, and he is a very handsome, tall man. He is about a foot taller than anyone else in Israel. Saul is also a very fast runner, and he is a very strong man. The people are glad that Jehovah has chosen Saul to be king. They all begin to shout, "Long live the king!" The enemies of Israel are as strong as ever. They are still causing a lot of trouble for the Israelites. Soon after Saul is made king, the Ammonites come up to fight against them. But Saul gathers a big army, and he wins the victory over the Ammonites. This makes the people happy that Saul is king. As the years go by, Saul leads the Israelites to many victories over their enemies. Saul also has a brave son named Jonathan, and Jonathan helps Israel to win many battles. The Philistines are still the Israelites' worst enemy. One day, thousands and thousands of Philistines come to fight against the Israelites. Samuel tells Saul to wait until he comes and makes a sacrifice or gift to Jehovah. But Samuel is slow in coming. Saul is afraid that the Philistines will start the battle, so he goes ahead and makes the sacrifice himself. When Samuel finally comes, he tells Saul that he has been disobedient. Jehovah will choose another person to be king over Israel, Samuel says. Later, Saul disobeys again. So Samuel tells him, "It is better to obey Jehovah than to make a gift to him of the best sheep. Because you have not obeyed Jehovah, Jehovah will not keep you as king of Israel." We can learn a good lesson from this. It shows us how important it is to obey Jehovah always. Also, it shows that a good person can change and become bad. We never want to become bad, do we?
No, we do not want to be turned bad. No. Okay. Now we're going to do these. So, read the passages. Now, 1 Samuel chapters 9 through 11. Now, I'll play those. We'll go to the Bible. I'll just read those.
There was a man of Benjamin named Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zeror, son of Bechorath, son of Aphiah, a Benjaminite and a very wealthy man. He had a son named Saul, who was young and handsome. There was no man among the Israelites more handsome than he, and he stood head and shoulders taller than all the people. When the donkeys belonging to Saul's father Kish got lost, Kish said to his son Saul,
"Please take with you one of the attendants and go look for the donkeys."
They passed through the mountainous region of Ephraim and through the land of Shalishah, and they did not find them. They traveled through the land of Shaalim, but the donkeys were not there. They passed through the entire land of the Benjaminites, and they did not find them. They came into the land of Zuph, and Saul said to his attendant who was with him,
"Come, let us return, so that my father does not start worrying about us rather than the donkeys."
But the attendant replied,
"Look, there is a man of God in this city, a man who is held in honor. All that he says is sure to come true. Let us go there now. Perhaps he can tell us which way to go."
At this Saul said to his attendant,
"If we go, what can we take to the man? There is no bread in our bags. There is nothing to take as a gift to the man of the true God. What do we have?"
So the attendant answered Saul again,
"Look, there is a quarter of a shekel of silver in my hand. I will give it to the man of the true God, and he will tell us which way to go."
In former times in Israel, this was what a man would say when going to seek God. "Come, and let us go to the seer." For the prophet of today used to be called a seer in former times. Then Saul said to his attendant,
"What you said is good. Let us go."
So they went to the city where the man of the true God was. While they were going up the ascent to the city, they met girls going out to draw water. So they said to them,
"Is the seer in this place?"
They answered,
"He is. Look, he is just ahead of you. Hurry now, for today he has come to the city, because the people are making a sacrifice today on the high place." "As soon as you come into the city, you will find him before he goes up to the high place to eat. The people will not eat until he comes, for he is the one who blesses the sacrifice. Once that is done, those who are invited may eat. So now go up right away, and you will find him."
So they went up to the city. As they were coming into the middle of the city, there was Samuel coming out to meet them, to go up to the high place. The day before Saul came, Jehovah had told Samuel, "Tomorrow, about this time, I will send to you a man from the land of Benjamin. You must anoint him as leader over my people Israel, and he will save my people from the hand of the Philistines. For I have seen the affliction of my people, and their outcry has reached me." When Samuel saw Saul, Jehovah told him, "Here is the man of whom I said to you, 'This is the one who will govern my people.'" Then Saul approached Samuel in the middle of the gate and said,
"Tell me,
Sorry.
please, where is the house of the seer?"
Samuel answered Saul, "I am the seer. Go up ahead of me to the high place, and you will eat with me today. I will send you away in the morning. and I will tell you all that you want to know. As for the donkeys that were lost 3 days ago, do not worry about them, for they have been found. And to whom does all that is desirable of Israel belong? Is it not to you, and to the whole house of your father?" At this Saul answered,
Am I not a Benjaminite, of the smallest of the tribes of Israel? And my family the most insignificant of all the families of the tribe of Benjamin? So why have you spoken to me in this way?
Then Samuel took Saul and his attendant and brought them to the dining hall, and gave them a place at the head of those invited. There were about 30 men. Samuel said to the cook, "Bring the portion that I gave you and told you, set it aside." At that the cook lifted up the leg and what was on it, and set it before Saul. And Samuel said, "What has been reserved has been set before you. Eat, because they have reserved it for you for this occasion. For I told them, I invited guests." So Saul ate with Samuel on that day. Then they went down from the high place to the city, and he continued to speak with Saul on the housetop. They rose early, and at daybreak Samuel called to Saul on the housetop, saying, "Get ready, so that I may send you away." So Saul got ready, and both he and Samuel went outside. While they were descending toward the outskirts of the city, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the attendant to go on ahead of us." So he went on ahead. "But you, stand still now, so that I may let you hear the word of God." Chapter 10. Samuel then took the flask of oil and poured it out on Saul's head. He kissed him and said, "Has not Jehovah anointed you as a leader over his inheritance? When you leave me today, you will find 2 men near the tomb of Rachel in the territory of Benjamin at Zelzah, and they will say to you, 'The donkeys that you went to look for have been found, but now your father has forgotten about the donkeys and is worried about you. He is saying, "What should I do about my son?" Go on from there until you come to the big tree of Tabor, where you will meet 3 men going up to the true God at Bethel, one carrying 3 young goats, one carrying 3 loaves of bread, and one carrying a large jar of wine. They will ask about your welfare and give you 2 loaves, and you must accept the loaves from them. After that, you will come to the hill of the true God, where there is a garrison of the Philistines. When you come to the city, you will meet a group of prophets coming down from the high place, and a stringed instrument and tambourine and flute and harp will be played ahead of them while they are prophesying. The Spirit of Jehovah will empower you, and you will prophesy along with them, and be changed into a different person. When these signs have taken place, do whatever your hand finds possible, because the true God is with you. Then go down ahead of me to Gilgal, and I will go down to you there to offer up burnt sacrifices and communion sacrifices. You should wait for 7 days until I come to you. Then I will let you know what you should do." As soon as Saul turned around to leave Samuel, God began changing his heart to be like that of someone else. And all these signs came true on that day. So they went from there to the hill, and a group of prophets met him. At once the Spirit of God empowered him, and he began to prophesy among them. When all those who previously knew him saw him prophesying with the prophets, they said to one another,
"What has happened to the son of Kish?"
Is Saul also among the prophets?
Then a man from there said,
"But who is their father?"
So it became a saying, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" When he finished prophesying, he came to the high place. The brother of Saul's father later said to him and to his attendant, "Where did you go?" At that he said,
To look for the donkeys. But we saw that they were not there, so we went to Samuel.
Saul's uncle asked, "Please tell me, what did Samuel say to you?" Saul replied to his uncle,
He told us that the donkeys had already been found.
but Saul did not tell him what Samuel said about the matter of the kingship. Samuel then called the people together to Jehovah at Mizpah and said to the Israelites, This is what Jehovah the God of Israel says. It was I who brought Israel up out of Egypt, and who rescued you from the hand of Egypt and from the hand of all the kingdoms that were oppressing you. But today you have rejected your God, who was your Savior out of all your evils and distresses. And you said, No, you should appoint a king over us. Now take your stand before Jehovah, by your tribes and by your thousands. So Samuel had all the tribes of Israel draw near, and the tribe of Benjamin was selected. Then he had the tribe of Benjamin draw near by its families, and the family of the Matrites was selected. Finally, Saul, the son of Kish, was selected. But when they went to look for him, he was nowhere to be found. So they inquired of Jehovah.
Has the man come here yet?
Jehovah answered, There he is, hiding himself among the luggage. So they ran and brought him from there. When he stood in the middle of the people, he was head and shoulders taller than all the other people. Samuel said to all the people, Do you see the one whom Jehovah has chosen, that there is none like him among all the people? And all the people began to shout,
Long live the king!
Samuel spoke to the people about the rightful due of kings, and wrote it in a book, and deposited it before Jehovah. Then Samuel sent all the people away, every one to his house. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, accompanied by the warriors whose hearts Jehovah had touched. But some worthless men said,
How will this one save us?
So they despised him, and they did not bring any gift to him. But he said nothing about it. Chapter 11. Then Nahash the Ammonite came up and camped against Jabesh in Gilead. All the men of Jabesh said to Nahash,
Make a covenant with us, and we will serve you.
Nahash the Ammonite said to them,
I will make it with you on this condition, that all your right eyes be bored out. I will do this to humiliate all Israel.
The elders of Jabesh replied to him,
Give us 7 days' time so that we can send messengers into all the territory of Israel. Then, if there is no one to rescue us, we will surrender to you.
In time the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul, and spoke these words in the hearing of the people. And all the people wept at the top of their voice. But Saul was coming from the field behind the herd. And Saul said,
What is the matter with the people? Why are they weeping?
So they related to him the words of the men of Jabesh. The Spirit of God empowered Saul when he heard these words, and he burned with anger. So he took a pair of bulls and cut them into pieces, and he sent these into all the territory of Israel by the hand of the messengers, who said,
Whoever does not follow Saul and Samuel should expect this to be done to his cattle.
And the fear of Jehovah fell upon the people, so that they came out with one accord. Then he counted them in Bezek, and there were 300,000 Israelites and 30,000 men of Judah. They now said to the messengers who had come,
This is what you should say to the men of Jabesh and Gilead. Tomorrow, when the sun gets hot, you will be saved.
With that, the messengers came and told the men of Jabesh, and they were overjoyed. So the men of Jabesh said,
Tomorrow we will surrender to you, and you may do to us whatever seems good to you.
On the next day, Saul divided the people into 3 bands, and they made their way into the middle of the camp during the morning watch, and struck down the Ammonites until the day grew hot. Those who survived were scattered, so that no 2 of them were left together. Then the people said to Samuel,
Who was saying, Is Saul to be king over us? Hand the men over, and we will put them to death.
However, Saul said,
Not a man should be put to death on this day, for today Jehovah has rescued Israel.
Samuel later said to the people, "Come and let us go to Gilgal to reconfirm the kingship." So all the people went to Gilgal, and in Gilgal they made Saul king before Jehovah. Then they offered communion sacrifices there before Jehovah, and Saul and all the men of Israel celebrated with great joy. Check.
Okay. Chapter 13, 5 through 14.
The Philistines also gathered together to fight against Israel, with 30,000 war chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and troops as numerous as the grains of sand on the seashore. And they went up and camped in Michmash to the east of Beth-aven. And the men of Israel saw that they were in trouble, because they were hard pressed. So the people hid in the caves, the hollows, the crags, the cellars, and the cisterns. Some of the Hebrews even crossed the Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. But Saul was still in Gilgal, and all the people following him were trembling. He continued waiting for 7 days until the designated time that Samuel had set. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattering from him. Finally Saul said,
"Bring to me the burnt sacrifice and the communion sacrifices."
And he offered up the burnt sacrifice. But as soon as he had finished offering up the burnt sacrifice, Samuel arrived. So Saul went out to meet him and bless him. Then Samuel said, "What have you done?" Saul replied,
"I saw that the people were deserting me, and you did not come within the designated time, and the Philistines were gathering together at Michmash. So I said to myself, now the Philistines will come down against me at Gilgal, and I have not sought the favor of Jehovah. So I felt obligated to offer up the burnt sacrifice."
At this Samuel said to Saul, "You have acted foolishly. You have not obeyed the commandment that Jehovah your God gave you. If you had, Jehovah would have made your kingdom firm over Israel forever. But now your kingdom will not last. Jehovah will find a man agreeable to his heart, and Jehovah will commission him as a leader over his people, because you did not obey what Jehovah commanded you."
That's right. Next is chapter 14, 47 through 52. They read it better than me. That's why I have the machine, the little guy inside read it. Okay.
Saul secured the kingship over Israel and fought against all his enemies on every side, against the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Edomites, the kings of Zobah, and the Philistines. And wherever he went, he defeated them. And he fought bravely and conquered the Amalekites and rescued Israel from the hand of their plunderers. The sons of Saul were Jonathan, Ishvi, and Malchishua. And he had 2 daughters. The name of the older one was Merab, and the name of the younger one, Michal. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. The name of the chief of his army was Abner, the son of Ner, the uncle of Saul. Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. There was fierce warfare with the Philistines all the days of Saul. When Saul saw any strong or courageous man, he would recruit him into his service.
And now Was it chapter 14? Next is chapter 15, 1 through 35. Well, let's see what 35 is. 35 the whole chapter? Yeah. I was just
Chapter 15.
I was just scrolled, you know.
Then Samuel said to Saul, Jehovah sent me to anoint you as king over his people Israel. Now listen to what Jehovah has to say. This is what Jehovah of armies says. I will call to account the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they opposed them along their way coming up from Egypt. Now go and strike down the Amalekites and devote them to destruction, along with all that they have. You must not spare them. You are to put them to death, man as well as woman, child as well as infant, bull as well as sheep, camel as well as donkey. Saul summoned the people and counted them in Telaim. There were 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 men of Judah. Saul advanced as far as the city of Amalek and set an ambush by the valley. Saul then said to the Kenites,
Go, depart from among the Amalekites, so that I do not sweep you away with them. For you showed loyal love to all the people of Israel at the time they came up out of Egypt.
So the Kenites departed from the midst of Amalek. After that, Saul struck down the Amalekites from Havilah as far as Shur, which is next to Egypt. He caught Agag, the king of Amalek, alive, but all the other people he devoted to destruction with the sword. However, Saul and the people spared Agag and the best of the flock, the herd, the fattened animals, the rams, did not want to devote them to destruction. But all and unwanted, these they devoted to destruction. Then the word of Jehovah came to Samuel. I regret that I have made Saul king, for he has turned away from following me, and he has not carried out my words. Samuel became very upset, and he kept crying out to Jehovah all night long. When Samuel got up early in the morning to meet Saul, Samuel was told,
Saul went to Carmel, and there he erected a monument for himself. Then he turned around and went down to Gilgal.
When Samuel finally came to him, Saul said to him,
May Jehovah bless you. I have carried out the word of Jehovah.
But Samuel said, Then what is this sound of the flock in my ears, and the sound of the cattle that I hear? To this Saul said,
They were brought from the Amalekites, because the people spared the best of the flock and the herd for sacrificing them to Jehovah your God. But what was left, we devoted to destruction.
At this Samuel said to Saul, Stop! Let me tell you what Jehovah said to me last night. So he said to him, Speak. Samuel continued, Were you not insignificant in your own eyes when you were made head of the tribes of Israel, and when Jehovah anointed you as king over Israel? Jehovah later sent you on a mission and said, Go and devote the sinful Amalekites to destruction. Fight against them until you have exterminated them. So why did you not obey the voice of Jehovah? Instead, you rushed greedily toward the spoil and did what was bad in the eyes of Jehovah. However, Saul said to Samuel,
But I have obeyed the voice of Jehovah. I went on the mission to which Jehovah sent me, and I brought back Agag, the king of Amalek, and I devoted the Amalekites to destruction. But the people took sheep and cattle from the spoil, the best of what was devoted to destruction, to sacrifice to Jehovah your God at Gilgal.
Samuel then said, Does Jehovah take as much pleasure in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of Jehovah? Look, to obey is better than a sacrifice, and to pay attention than the fat of rams. For rebelliousness is the same as the sin of divination, and pushing ahead presumptuously the same as using magical power and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Jehovah, he has rejected you from being king. Then Saul said to Samuel,
I have sinned, for I have overstepped the order of Jehovah in your words, because I feared the people and listened to what they said. And now, please, pardon my sin and return with me, so that I may bow down to Jehovah.
But Samuel said to Saul, I will not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Jehovah, and Jehovah has rejected you from continuing as king over Israel. As Samuel was turning to go, Saul grabbed hold of the hem of his sleeveless coat, but it ripped away. At this, Samuel said to him, Jehovah has ripped away the royal rule of Israel from you today, and he will give it to one of your fellow men who is better than you. Moreover, the excellency of Israel will not prove false or change his mind, for he is not a mere man that he should change his mind. At this he said,
I have sinned, but honor me, please, in front of the elders of my people and in front of Israel. Return with me, and I will bow down to Jehovah your God.
So Samuel returned behind Saul, and Saul bowed down to Jehovah. And Samuel said, Bring Agag, the king of Amalek, near to me. Then Agag went to him reluctantly, for Agag had been saying to himself, Surely the threat of death is past. However, Samuel said, Just as your sword has bereaved women of children, so your mother will be most bereaved among women. With that, Samuel hacked Agag to pieces before Jehovah at Gilgal. Samuel now went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his own house at Gibeah of Saul. Samuel did not see Saul again until the day of his death, for Samuel went into mourning for Saul. And Jehovah regretted that he had made Saul king over Israel.
Yeah. Now, we did 5th, yeah. 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 23. Saul and Jonathan. I like how they abbreviate Jonathan. Saul and Jonathan, beloved and cherished during their life. And in death they were not separated. Swifter than the eagles they were. Now we go on to the second one. God chooses David. I do, seriously.
Story number 57. God chooses David. Can you see what has happened? The boy has saved this little lamb from the bear. The bear came and carried off the lamb and was going to eat it. But the boy ran after them and saved the lamb from the bear's mouth. And when the bear rose up, the boy grabbed the bear and struck it down dead. At another time, he saved one of the sheep from a lion. Isn't he a brave boy? Do you know who he is? This is young David. He lives in the town of Bethlehem. His grandfather was Obed, the son of Ruth and Boaz. Do you remember them? And David's father is Jesse. David takes care of his father's sheep. David was born 10 years after Jehovah chose Saul to be king. The time comes when Jehovah says to Samuel, Take some special oil and go to the house of Jesse in Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be king. When Samuel sees Jesse's oldest son, Eliab, he says to himself, This is surely the one that Jehovah has chosen. But Jehovah tells him, Do not look at how tall and handsome he is. I have not chosen him to be king. So Jesse calls his son Abinadab and brings him to Samuel. But Samuel says, No, Jehovah hasn't chosen him either. Next, Jesse brings his son Shammah. No, Jehovah hasn't chosen him either, Samuel says. Jesse brings 7 of his sons to Samuel, but Jehovah doesn't choose any of them. Are these all the boys? Samuel asks. They're still the youngest, Jesse says, but he is out taking care of the sheep. When David is brought in, Samuel can see that he is a good-looking boy. This is the one, Jehovah says. Pour the oil on him. And this is what Samuel does. The time will come when David will become king of Israel.
Now we'll read 1 Samuel chapter...
Story number 58.
Yeah, we got to end. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 34 and 35. David then said, "No, Saul, your servant became a shepherd of his father's flock, and a lion came, also a bear, and each carried off a sheep from the flock. I went out after it and struck it down and rescued it from its mouth. When it rose up again, I grabbed it by its fur and struck it down and put it to death." Yeah, that's what you get from messing around with the sheep. 1 Samuel chapter 16, 1 through 13.
Jehovah eventually said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, now that I have rejected him from ruling as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, because I have selected from among his sons a king for myself." But Samuel said, "How can I go? When Saul hears about it, he will kill me." Jehovah replied, "Take a young cow with you and say, 'I have come to sacrifice to Jehovah.' Invite Jesse to the sacrifice. Then I will make known to you what to do. You must anoint for me the one whom I designate to you." Samuel did what Jehovah said. When he came to Bethlehem, the elders of the city were trembling at meeting him, and they said,
"Does your coming mean peace?"
To this he said, "It means peace. I have come to sacrifice to Jehovah. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice." Then he sanctified Jesse and his sons, after which he summoned them to the sacrifice. As they came and he saw Eliab, he said, "Surely here before Jehovah stands his anointed one." But Jehovah said to Samuel, "Do not pay attention to his appearance and how tall he is, for I have rejected him. For the way man sees is not the way God sees, because mere man sees what appears to the eyes, but Jehovah sees into the heart." Then Jesse called Abinadab and had him pass before Samuel. But he said, "Jehovah has not chosen this one either." Next, Jesse presented Shammah, but he said, "Jehovah has not chosen this one either." So Jesse had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. But Samuel said to Jesse, "Jehovah has not chosen any of these." Finally Samuel said to Jesse, "Are these all of your boys?" To this he said,
"The youngest has been left out until now. He is pasturing the sheep."
Then Samuel said to Jesse, "Send for him, because we will not sit down for the meal until he comes here." So he sent for him and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, with beautiful eyes and handsome in appearance. Then Jehovah said, "Get up, anoint him, for this is the one." So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And the Spirit of Jehovah began to empower David from that day forward. Samuel later rose and went his way to Ramah. Now the Spirit...
Now that is it for today's devotions. Now, if you have any verse requests, prayer requests, subject you want me to look up and read about, just leave it in the comments below. Any questions, anything, feel free to answer. Feel free to ask and I'll do my best to answer to my ability. So I love you guys. Jehovah loves you.